They say you know you've hit rock bottom when you're counting pennies at 2 in the morning. I was sitting in a McDonald's parking lot, watching my son sleep in the back seat, his breath wheezing through damaged lungs, counting the last of our money. $900. That was all that stood between us and homelessness. I'd made so many wrong choices in my 34 years, but that night I was about to make either the best decision of my life or the very last one. Before we dive deeper, I'd love to know where you're listening from today. Drop a comment below. And if this is your first time here, welcome. You're about to hear a story that changed everything I thought I knew about second chances. My name is Claire Morgan. 8 months before that parking lot moment, I had been someone else entirely. I had been a wife, though not a particularly happy one. I had been an ICU nurse at Mercy Hospital with 12 years of experience. I had been a woman who believed she had her life figured out. Then everything collapsed. The hospital closed. My husband left. Divorce papers on the kitchen table with a 3-sentence note. No alimony, minimal child support he rarely paid. Within weeks, I was working 2 minimum wage jobs, seeing my 12-year-old son Lucas for maybe 30 minutes a day. Lucas had severe asthma requiring expensive medications we could barely afford. $380 a month for an inhaler. The pharmacist would slip me week-long supplies when she could, whispering, "Don't tell the manager." I didn't want pity. I wanted my life back. But life doesn't care what we want. Then my landlady knocked on my door. "Claire, honey, my son wants to sell the building. You have 45 days. I'd searched every rental listing. Everything was $1,200 to $1,800 monthly. I made $1,400 total. The math didn't work. It never worked. That night, I sat beside Lucas's bed, listening to the rattle in his chest and whispered into the darkness. I failed at marriage. I failed at my career. But I will not fail you. 3 nights later, scrolling Facebook at 3 a.m., I saw an advertisement. County tax foreclosure auction. Most properties started at tens of thousands of dollars. But then I saw it. Property 47. 1428 Willow Creek Road. Minimum bid $750. The description was ominous. Abandoned farmhouse, 1,900 square feet, vacant over 15 years. Significant structural issues, sold as is. The photograph showed a nightmare. Peeling paint, broken windows, overgrown weeds. But it was a house, with land, for less than a month's rent. I called my friend Jen. "Claire, no," she said immediately. "Houses that cheap have serious problems. And Lucas's asthma? He could die. We have 42 days until we're homeless. This is my only shot." Saturday morning, I pulled on my only blazer and tucked $900 cash into my purse. At the courthouse, 30 people filled the auction room, mostly men in expensive suits. I felt small and out of place. Properties sold fast. A ranch house jumped from 25 to 60,000 in minutes. Then the auctioneer called property 47. Silence. No one moved. "Do I hear 750? My hand shook as I raised it. A man with a graying beard turned to look at me. He raised his hand. 800. 850, I managed. 900, he said, but his voice had lost certainty. I stood up, legs shaking. "I only have $900. That's all I have in the world." Awkward silence fell. The man studied me for a long moment. Then he stood. "I withdraw. She needs it more than I do." Tears burned my eyes. "Thank you." Sold, $900. At the clerk's desk, my hands trembled, signing papers. The clerk handed me a tarnished brass key. "That's the Winters place, honey. Nobody's touched it since Dr. Margaret disappeared in '89. "Disappeared?" "Just vanished one day. Left everything behind. Some folks say it's cursed." She patted my hand. "But I'm sure that's just talk." I picked Lucas up from school. His face lit up, then fell when I explained. But he tried to smile. "It'll be an adventure, right, Mom?" The drive took 40 minutes through Appalachian foothills. When the house appeared through trees, it was worse than the photograph. Paint peeled to gray wood, windows broken or boarded, porch sagging dangerously, weeds waist-high. Lucas's hand found mine. "Mom." We explored the overgrown property. Behind the house, ancient apple trees stood in a wild orchard. An old stone well. a collapsing shed, but there was something else too. A feeling in the air, like the property was holding its breath, waiting. The front door was swollen shut. I pushed hard and it gave suddenly. The smell made us gag. Mold, rot, abandonment. Inside, dust-covered furniture, water-stained ceilings, ruined books. Everything frozen in time. Upstairs, 4 bedrooms, one with children's drawings on the walls. Lucas started coughing, the dry cough that could become an emergency. Outside now, we sat on the porch while he used his inhaler. I looked at what I'd bought with everything we had. What had I done? We couldn't stay inside, not with his asthma. So we spent our first night in the car, seats reclined, sharing an emergency blanket. Lucas fell asleep quickly, but I stayed awake, staring at the dark house, tears sliding down my cheeks. I'd failed again. Then I saw it, a flicker of light in the upstairs window, like a candle flame moving across the glass, then disappearing. I blinked, looked again. Nothing. You're exhausted, I told myself. But deep in my chest, that light hadn't felt threatening. It had felt almost welcoming. Morning arrived with an engine sound. An old pickup truck parked beside us. An elderly woman climbed out, silver hair in a bun, carrying a basket. Good morning. I saw lights last night. Brought you breakfast. The basket contained warm muffins, coffee, orange juice. The kindness made my throat tight. Thank you. I'm Claire. This is Lucas. Ruth Thompson. I live down the road. She looked at the house sadly. So you bought Margaret's place. Margaret? Dr. Margaret Winters, the woman who lived here. It's been 34 years since she disappeared. Ruth settled on the porch and told me Margaret's story. She'd come in 1982, age 26, brilliant with a PhD from Cornell. She'd grown medicinal herbs, helped people who couldn't afford doctors. She was gifted. I had arthritis so bad I couldn't walk. Margaret made me a salve from plants. Within a month, I could garden again. She never charged anyone. What happened to her? May 18th, 89. She vanished. Car in the garage, clothes in the closet, coffee cup on the table, still half full. Police decided she'd left voluntarily. Ruth's jaw tightened. Nonsense. Margaret loved this place. Something happened to her. Something bad. Another truck arrived. The man from the auction with a teenage daughter. I'm Ben Carter. This is Sophie. I wanted to apologize for yesterday. You helped. Why? Margaret saved my wife. Anna had stage 4 cancer. The pain was unbearable. Margaret made her a tea from herbs. It didn't cure the cancer, but it gave Anna 6 months without suffering. She died peacefully because of Margaret. I'm a contractor. Let me assess what needs doing. No charge. Paying forward what Margaret did for my family. Ben spent 2 hours examining the house. When he emerged, his face was grim. Foundation is solid. That's good news. But the roof needs complete replacement. Wiring is dangerous. Plumbing shot. Extensive black mold. He paused. Minimum $35,000 to make it livable. The number hit me like a blow. 35,000 might as well have been 35 million. I don't have that. I don't have any money. I have a camping trailer. You can stay in it while we work on the house. And my wife died 4 years ago. Sophie hasn't had a friend since. But I just watched her smile at your son. That's worth more than money. That afternoon, cleaning what would be Lucas's room, I stepped on a floorboard that moved. I pried it up. Beneath was a hollow space containing a metal tin. Inside were 3 items: a leather journal, old photographs, and a brass key. The journal's first page read, Property of Margaret Eleanor Winters, 1982. The photographs showed a beautiful woman with striking eyes, one blue, one brown, in lush gardens, smiling. I opened to the journal's first entry. October 3rd, 1982. I've finally found it. A place where I can start over. The house feels right, like it's been waiting. I flipped through botanical drawings, research notes, then reached the final entry. May 15th, 1989. Someone was in my lab last night. Papers moved. RD won't stop until he has it. I'm moving everything to the secondary location tonight. If I disappear, The truth is hidden where only the right person will find it. He will never profit from suffering. I called Ben, voice shaking. I found something. I think Margaret was murdered. Have you ever made a decision that terrified you, but deep down, you knew it was right? Drop a comment below. And if you're enjoying this, please hit that like button. The next morning, I drove to Asheville Public Library. The librarian, Patricia, led me to microfiche machines. The headline from May 28, 1989, Local Botanist Missing, Foul Play, or Fresh Start. The article explained Ruth had reported Margaret missing after 4 days. Police found her car, clothes, everything untouched. Sheriff Collins concluded, no signs of struggle, probable voluntary departure. A follow-up from June 12th, Winter's case goes cold, no new leads. Patricia appeared at my shoulder. I remember Dr. Winters. She helped my arthritis. There was a man who came to see her before she disappeared. Expensive suit, Mercedes, from some pharmaceutical company. Dalton, I think. I searched Dalton Pharmaceuticals on my phone. Fortune 500 company, 48 billion revenue. CEO from 1973 to 2003, Richard Dalton Sr. I searched Dalton Pharmaceuticals Carter's Syndrome, 1988. Business Weekly, November 1988. Dalton abandons rare disease research after failed trials. Stock plummets. Dalton had invested $87 million developing a Carter's syndrome treatment. The trials failed spectacularly. Stock dropped 18%. Carter's syndrome, a devastating autoimmune disease. Patients survived only 3 to 5 years. No effective treatment existed. I went back to Margaret's journal, reading carefully now. June 1988, first visit from RD. Dalton Pharmaceuticals. Offered $500,000 for research, declined. October 1988, RD returned. Offer now $1.2 million. Frustrated, I won't cooperate. March 1989, RD getting aggressive. Said refusal is career suicide. Implied consequences. RD, Richard Dalton. That evening, I showed Ben everything. He read the journal, his expression darkening. Margaret mentioned a lab. I built it for her in '87. Behind the house, hidden. She wanted it secure. Can we find it? Ben led me through overgrown backyard with flashlights. We pushed through brambles until he stopped. Here. We pulled away vines, revealing concrete walls. A bunker-like structure, metal door with a heavy lock. I inserted the brass key. It turned smoothly. The door opened. Inside, pristine, not dusty like the house, as if Margaret had just stepped out. A workbench held sophisticated equipment, shelves of labeled jars, diagrams and frames. Someone's maintained this, Ben whispered. It's too clean. Under the workbench, a small safe. The brass key opened it too. Inside, 5 research notebooks, a cassette tape labeled Insurance, May 10, 1989, and a sealed envelope. I opened the envelope. Letter dated May 16, 1989. If you're reading this, I'm likely gone. Richard Dalton has threatened me repeatedly. The formula in these notebooks can save thousands suffering from Carter's syndrome. It belongs to humanity, not corporate profits. I've hidden evidence in multiple locations. Coordinates are encoded in my journal. Trust your instincts. The house chooses its guardians wisely. Don't let my work die. Don't let him win. That night, Ruth brought an old cassette player. We listened to the tape. Margaret's voice nervous. May 10, 1989, 4:17 p.m. Richard Dalton just arrived. Recording for protection. A knock. Door opening. Mr. Dalton, I asked you not to come here. A man's voice, cold. Dr. Winters, this is your final opportunity. My answer hasn't changed. $2 million, final offer. Your company failed because you approached Carter's wrong. I succeeded because I listened to nature. The man's voice hardened. You're making a grave mistake. Without Dalton's resources, your discovery helps no one. I've sent documentation to colleagues. Nothing will happen if you cooperate, but things could become difficult otherwise. Are you threatening me? Everyone has weaknesses, Dr. Winters. Everyone has something to lose. Think carefully. House fires are common in old farmhouses. Car accidents. Wild animals. So many unpredictable dangers. Doors slamming. Margaret's shaky breathing. Recording ended. Ruth was crying. Ben's jaw clenched. I felt cold all over. That's murder threat, Ben said. Clear as day. We call the FBI, and we're very careful. The next morning, a black Lexus was in my driveway. A man in an expensive suit leaned against it. Miss Morgan, Thomas Wright, County Building Department. He handed me a card. Irregularities with your property purchase, county may suspend ownership, or we're authorized to offer $25,000 for you to relinquish your claim. This is my home, it's not for sale. Something cold flickered across his face. Property disputes get complicated, expensive, and your son's health must be your priority. Asthma can be so dangerous. After he left, Ben emerged. That man isn't from the county. My cousin works there. No Thomas Wright exists. They know we found something. That evening, Lucas went to wash hands. The water came out brown, foul-smelling. Ben found an empty container of industrial chemicals near the well. Someone poisoned your water. Sheriff Brooks came, but barely cared. Probably kids. 2 days later, my phone rang. Unknown number. Miss Morgan, Victoria Dalton Ross, Vice President at Dalton Pharmaceuticals. We'd like to offer $250,000 for your property. Not interested. That's disappointing. Think about what it could mean for your son. That night, another call. Colder voice. Miss Morgan, Richard Dalton Jr., CEO. My father spent 34 years keeping Dr. Winter's work buried. I'm offering $1 million. No. His voice turned ice cold. Think about Lucas, a 12-year-old with severe asthma, living remotely far from hospitals. Respiratory conditions can become fatal so quickly. You're a nurse. You understand the risks. Are you threatening my son? I'm reminding you that choices have consequences, very immediate consequences. The line went dead. I called Ben, shaking. They threatened Lucas directly. Pack now. You're staying at my house. Security system, cameras. You won't be safe here. As we packed, Lucas tried his inhaler. Nothing happened. I examined it. The medication had been replaced with water. Someone's been inside. While we were here, we ran to my car. I started to turn the key. Ben shouted, "Must stop, don't start it." He checked underneath, emerged pale. Brake lines cut. If you'd driven down that hill. We called Sheriff Brooks again. This time he took it seriously but said, "You're suggesting a Fortune 500 company is trying to kill you without substantial evidence." That night I made 3 calls. First, to Dr. Lisa Chen, my former supervisor, now a researcher. I sent her Margaret's research photos. "Claire, this is breakthrough-level work. Carter's syndrome has no effective treatment. 52,000 patients worldwide. A cure would be worth $8 to $12 billion. Margaret achieved 94% efficacy. This is extraordinary." Second, to FBI Charlotte. Agent Sarah Flores sounded skeptical until I mentioned Dalton. "We have an open file on them. Allegations of espionage, bribery, 2 other missing researchers. If you have actual evidence, we'd like to meet." Third, to journalist Catherine Monroe. She arrived the next day, spent 6 hours examining everything. "This is explosive, but publishing means Dalton will come at you with everything. Can you handle that? They're already trying to kill my son. At least this way, the truth gets out." Sometimes I wonder if the people we've lost ever truly leave us. If you felt the presence of someone watching over you, drop a purple heart in the comments. 3 nights later, a massive thunderstorm hit. Lucas stood at the window. "Mom, the lady is here again." "What lady?" "The one from the house. Dr. Winters. She's standing by the big apple tree. She's pointing." I looked out, saw nothing but rain and lightning. "Lucas, there's no one." Ben appeared. "Sophie used to see things after Anna died. Maybe kids pick up on things we miss." So we went. 4 adults and 2 children with flashlights, trudging through the storm to the orchard. Lucas led us to the largest apple tree. "Here," she says, "dig here." We dug with our hands. About 18 inches down, we found a waterproof container. Inside, a microcassette recorder, documents in Margaret's final note. May 18, 1989, 9 p.m. Richard Dalton is coming back tonight. He's going to kill me. I'm hiding this and leaving for the forest with my research. If I don't survive, please don't let him win. The forest coordinates are in my journal. Page 47, third paragraph, every fifth word. Find the research, expose him. We listened to the micro cassette in the car. Margaret's voice shaking. May 18, 10:43 p.m. Dalton just left. Said if I don't sign over research by tomorrow, there will be an unfortunate accident. His exact words, house fires are tragically common. No one would question it. I'm leaving within the hour. If something happens, whoever finds this, please don't let him profit from my death. Door slamming. Footsteps. Silence. Ben decoded the coordinates. Pisgah National Forest, 50 miles northeast. I gave everything to the FBI. Agent Flores listened to recordings 3 times. We're sending a team to those coordinates immediately. Catherine's article went live 3 days later. The Buried Cure, how a $900 house revealed a 34-year pharmaceutical cover-up. By evening, 500,000 views. By morning, 2 million. Every major outlet picked it up. Dalton's stock crashed 31%. Then Victoria Dalton Ross resigned publicly with a statement condemning her father. 2 days later, FBI called. We found her. We found Dr. Winters. Human remains. Dental records confirmed Margaret Eleanor Winters. Skull showed blunt force trauma, homicide. Richard Dalton Sr., 81, was arrested. Then Frank Morrison, 78, former head of security, gave a deathbed confession. He'd killed Margaret on Dalton's orders, struck her from behind, buried her body. The trial took 9 months. I testified twice. The cassette tapes were played in court, Dalton's threats echoing through the chamber. When Victoria took the witness stand, her composure crumbled. Through tears, she detailed decades of suspicion, internal memos referencing resolved problems. Her father's paranoid warnings never to investigate 1989. His late-night confession years ago that he'd done what was necessary. She'd chosen silence out of loyalty, and that choice haunted her. Morrison testified from a wheelchair, oxygen tube in his nose. I killed an innocent woman because my boss told me to and paid me well. I'm going to hell for that, but at least I can tell the truth first. He died 6 weeks later, but his confession stood. The jury deliberated 6 hours. On all charges, we find the defendant guilty. Richard Dalton was sentenced to 25 years to life. At 81, a death sentence. He would die in prison. Dr. Chen helped me file a patent, listing Margaret as inventor. We built in requirements. Treatment must be affordable. Maximum $150 monthly. Lives were being saved. With licensing fees, we established the Margaret Winters Foundation at 1428 Willow Creek. The house was restored, the gardens brought back to life. A free clinic opened 3 days weekly. Lucas leads tours now, teaching about medicinal plants. His asthma improved dramatically. Sophie joins him. They've become inseparable. Ben and I married in the orchard 1 year after I bought the house. Small ceremony. Ruth officiated. Lucas and Sophie stood beside us. Our family complete. On the first anniversary of Margaret's case being solved, we held a memorial. Over 200 people came. Carter's syndrome patients whose lives had been saved. Community members, reporters, researchers. A granite memorial now stands. Dr. Margaret Eleanor Winters, 1956-1989. Brilliant scientist, healer, hero. She died protecting knowledge that saves lives. Her courage changed the world. I spoke to the gathered crowd. 1 year ago, I had $900 and nowhere to go. I thought I was buying shelter. Instead, I discovered my life's work, brought closure to a decades-old injustice, built a family from broken pieces. Margaret died protecting her principles, died alone because she wouldn't compromise her values. But she didn't die in vain. Today, her cure helps over 8,000 patients worldwide. Her gardens heal hundreds more. Her story inspired legislation protecting independent researchers. That evening, I went to Margaret's study, lit a candle on her desk. Thank you for choosing me, for trusting me, for guiding us to truth. I hope you are at peace now. A warm breeze moved through the window, though the air outside was still. The scent of lavender and herbs filled the room. For just a moment, I felt a presence. Not frightening, just peaceful, content. At rest after 34 years. The breeze faded, the candle steadied. I was alone, but not really alone. Margaret's spirit lives on in every patient treated, every person who visits the gardens, every researcher who studies her work, every life saved because she was brave enough to fight. I joined my family in the gardens, Lucas and Sophie catching fireflies, Ben watching them smiling, Ruth in a rocking chair, humming softly. This was home. This was family. This was everything I'd been searching for when I'd risked my last $900. I'd bought this house thinking I was buying survival. Instead, I discovered that even when you've lost everything, even when you're down to your last dollar, grace can still find you. Margaret taught me that second chances don't come from having everything. They come from risking the little you have left on hope. That $900 gamble? Best investment I ever made, not in property, in possibility, in the belief that courage can still be rewarded, that justice can still prevail, that one person really can make a difference. Thank you for listening to this story with me. If it touched your heart, please share it with someone who needs to hear that it's never too late for a new beginning. What would you risk everything for? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Remember, your own second chance might be hiding in the most unexpected places. You just have to be brave enough to take it. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss these stories of hope, justice, and transformation. Until next time, may you find the courage to bet on yourself even when the odds seem impossible. God bless, and I'll see you in the next story.